What's going on, folks? Welcome to the Snug Wrestling Podcast. I am Edgar. I'm the host. The Snug Crew is here with me, Mr. Blood, Tommy, and Toxic. We just saw John Cena's final fucking match, and what a fucking emotional roller coaster of a ride did we see today. Man, I am so emotional right now. God damn. I was like, man, I'm going to be good. I'm not going to be feeling in my emotions or feeling, emo. I'm going to be okay, and I was like preparing myself ahead of time and nope, I couldn't do it, man. They fucking got me, man. It was so fucking sad, intense, all of the emotions, man, in this final Saturday night's main event for John Cena, man. But how y'all doing today, fellas?
As good as I can be. Super feeling a lot of things. Uh, Gratitude, sadness, nostalgia. Also happy, um, content. I feel like I got closure. Um, Definitely glad I watched it live, so I could feel that moment with the rest of the people that watched it live and John Cena in real time feeling it live. Um, my cheeks are dry from crying. I'll wait until we get to the match to tell you exactly when the waterworks started because I think it's pretty poignant. But other than that, man, how fucking fast does time fly? I think is the ultimate thought that has been trending through my head all day is how fast does time fly? And when you're like Toxic or Tommy's age, time isn't as fast. It goes by quick, but when you start getting to like, your later 20s, into your 30s, like me and you, Edgar, you realize every year your perception of time just goes by faster and faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, it does.
And that's why, that's where the saying, time flies comes from. And um, enjoy it while you're young, because when you get to, like, I remember watching John Cena, because I'm now 32. I remember watching John Cena debut when I was 8, and it feels like yesterday. Okay, summer of 2002 on SmackDown, Ruthless
Yeah.
Aggression enters the ring against Kurt Angle because The Undertaker couldn't make it to the match he was supposed to have with Cena. So last minute, he has an open challenge against Kurt Angle. I remember that like it was yesterday. And now
Yeah.
I sit here, 24 years later almost, and all I can think of is I watched all 700 plus matches this man ever had live when
Mm-hmm.
they happened. I never missed a single match of Cena's since 2002, the night he debuted. I've seen every episode of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown since when it happened, and every match he ever did, every PLE. And man, it's so weird to feel like you grew up with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
have never known them or met them.
Yeah.
It's, you
That was
know,
one that was one of the feelings that I was getting too throughout this whole entire show. And throughout the show, they were showing all these video packages and all these videos from the past. And it's like, man, I remember that moment. And I was like, holy shit. We literally grew up as wrestling fans with John Cena, which is crazy to think about. But Toxic, how are you feeling after this show? And he froze. Tommy, how are you feeling, bro?
I'm telling you right now, it may look like we're sitting here professional and all of that, but inside, man, we are in so much pain after all of that. That was a emotional train wreck that we just went through, but it was an emotional train wreck in the greatest of ways. It truly was. And I found it kind of fitting that when I opened my WWE Advent calendar today, the wrestler that I pulled was John Cena. I found that extremely fitting, with today being his final match and me pulling him there. It it was just right there. And I do remember quite a few things, and I rewatched a bunch of stuff as well. Like I rewatched his match with Rock from WrestleMania 28 yesterday. So just to prep myself for this. So in reality, I am in extreme pain, and I have been wearing this damn hat all day. And this hat being Cena's blue and orange never give up hat.
You know, I love that hat. And something that like hit me was I'm a huge guy. I'm very nostalgia based as a person. I think that just comes with being a part of nerd culture so heavily, like I am comic book culture and, you know, pop culture. I'm a very nostalgic guy. And y'all know that I started as a massive wrestling fan because of my brother Brandon. And I used to backyard wrestle on a YouTube channel for about 8 years. And then when I moved to Georgia, I got trained as a pro wrestler. And when I got trained as a pro wrestler, a lot of my influence, a lot of moves I did, a lot of the stuff that was in my repertoire as a backyard wrestler, and even then when I did pro wrestling for legitimate sake on the indies, a lot of it was based off of John Cena. I posted a montage earlier on my channel today where it was to a song called Back to Being Friends, and it was an edit audio with Cena's voice over it. And in that, you can see me in images backyard wrestling doing the 5-knuckle shuffle, doing the attitude adjustment, standing on the top rope of the TNA Impact Zone's ring. And below me, beneath me, out of frame, is AJ Styles, Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley. And over here is Sting, and over there is Ric Flair. And I am doing this on the top of the ropes. And it's funny because, you know, my finish when I was a pro wrestler, my 2 finishes was the blood drop, which is where that came from, which was the fisherman suplex brainbuster, which I took from Cena off his fisherman suplex that he used to do, and the blood drive, which was a Death Valley driver, fireman's carry, like the attitude adjustment. And the shirt that I wore in those pictures was his Rise Above Hate t-shirt all these years later from his feud with Kane when Kane became masked again. Torn to pieces in the armpits, worn the back, because when I pro wrestled, I trained in this shirt every day. So when I talk about how much I love John Cena, the influence he had just over me is one that I can never pay back in words. But if I ever got the chance to meet him, I would let him know that every moment he gave over 23 years on live television, it didn't just mean the world to me, it fueled my passion. And so with all those people around the world in the arena tonight, you know, sometimes a character kind of transcends the setting in which he stands. And John Cena was one of those guys. Because all he did was hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Yeah, what's up, Toxic? Are you back with us now?
Yeah, don't know what happened there, but I'm doing great. Not really. I don't know. Mix of emotions right now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude. So John Cena drew over 19,000 people for his final match in Washington, D.C., and the place was packed. It was also filled with a bunch of legends too. Like, man, everyone was there that you could possibly think of. I think one of the main ones that really stood out to me was Kurt Angle. Not only because Kurt Angle is, you know, I got a really good experience meeting Kurt Angle in person. He did our intro for us for our podcast, so I'm always really happy to see Kurt Angle on WWE TV because he's just such a nice fucking guy. But it made sense for him to be there because he was John Cena's first match in the main roster on TV. You know, when John Cena debuted it was with Kurt Angle. So it only made sense for Kurt Angle to be there on his final match, which I thought was just, you know, perfect. But we also saw like Mark Henry was there. Kevin Owens was there. Rob Van Dam was there. You know, when it comes to like, I guess Kevin Owens isn't really like a veteran or a legend, but you know, a lot of veterans and legends were there. But also another one that stood out to me was Elias. Elias was there, and he kind of tried to insert himself in there a little bit when John Cena was gonna go say hi to everyone. John Cena shook his hand, but he just kind of just like, all right, get the fuck out of here. And then, but I'm like, what the fuck is Elias doing there? That's crazy.
Eve Torres too, which I didn't notice her at first standing next to Trish Stratus because we haven't seen Eve Torres in a long time on WWE main roster.
What the fuck is that? I don't even know who that is.
Eve Torres was at one point one of the most popular women on the roster in the Divas division. She was the girl that was involved in the Rise Above Hate, that t-shirt I have, the Rise Above Hate story that John Cena did with Mass Kane. She was Zack Ryder's girlfriend.
And was that her on-screen name?
That was Eve Torres.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And she winds up falling for John over Zack Ryder. And it becomes a story about hate, and they heavily tease in that storyline John Cena turning heel and being aggressive and selfish, like taking his girlfriend from him, like allowing Kane to beat the crap out of him and not saving him or saving Zack Ryder. So I thought it was really interesting they popped Eve up there because she was a pretty big part of his 2012 run.
That's crazy. I don't even remember that, but good. I'm glad they brought that back for the fans that do remember. Which is always good, man. Yeah, dude. Anyone else that stood out to you guys as far as like a special guest appearances that were there for John Cena's final match, or anything that stood out to you guys in general before we get into the matches?
Aside from The Miz, celebrities that were there, one that really stood out to me was John Bernthal. I'm a massive Marvel fan. Y'all know this, but he's the fucking Punisher. You know, so like, and I forgot he's a wrestling fan too. But he was there. Yeah, man. A lot of people turned out for Cena. There was heavy rumors that Donald Trump was supposed to be there tonight, but I guess he wasn't because they were in DC. But we'll get into how Trump still factors into the end of the show later.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw reports that Linda McMahon was supposed to be there, and she probably was, but they didn't show her on TV.
Probably not the best idea considering how they reacted to Triple H.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that because what the fuck? Actually, let's talk about that right now. Nah, let's wait. Let's wait until the end.
I also, because I've seen many posts about this already. We finally figured out that we have been spelling Stu's name wrong our entire lives. There is no U. It is EW at the end. So
Stu, for the people that don't know, is the cameraman for WWE, right?
That John Cena always talks to in his entrance.
Yeah.
So we have been spelling this man's name wrong our entire lives.
I have not one time ever spelled Stu's name ever.
I was going to say, I never had an inkling as to how his name was spelled, brother. I automatically assumed it was STEW anyway, because Stu.
Yeah, Stu or Stu, it's the same shit to me. Anyway, but yeah, when it comes to like the celebrities that were there, there was a whole bunch of video packages throughout the show with a bunch of people who, I don't know, I guess you can kind of look at it like, oh, you know, John Cena had influence on across the board in mainstream, like in the media, you know, from football players to basketball players to actors to, you know, fucking, who was it? What's his name? Jimmy Kimmel? Is that his fucking name?
No, Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. And I'm just like, what the fuck do they have to do with this? But I guess
Manning, Peyton Manning, freaking Tyrese Halliburton.
And okay, I know some of them, some of them go to the shows, but some of them I'm like, bro, are you like actually a fan? Do you actually know Cena, or are you just there because you're a big name and the WWE wants you to be like, oh, look, we got fucking Eli Manning in our show? Like,
well, a lot of those guys are actually fans. A lot of those guys have been live in attendance for a lot of shows over the years. Special guest Eli Manning, Peyton Manning has. Tyrese Halliburton's in the fucking WWE 2K25 video game.
Oh yeah, no, he's a huge fan. But fuck that guy. He left the Kings to
he's
go
literally
to Indiana.
DLC in the video game. You know, like it's crazy. But I think it just goes to show that, you know, like I said, sometimes the character, the person behind the character transcends their, you know, where they originate from. And clearly those video packages were about showing that he transcended beyond just WWE.
Yeah.
You know, and you can be inspired by anybody, but if you're going to be inspired by anybody, John Cena is not a bad guy to hit your horse to when you're talking about needing an example, a good example of what it means to be a decent human being, treat others with love and respect and kindness, humility, patience, understanding, and just being good to your fellow man. I mean, try to name 5 people off the top of your head that match that description that are celebrities nonetheless.
Hulk Hogan
is not on that list. But
Vince McMahon. No,
he's scraping the bottom.
Hey, they did show Vince McMahon in one of those video packages, though, didn't they?
Yeah, that surprised me. I love that it was the very old video events talking about John, because it sure as shit wasn't current. Not with what he's done with his hair and his mustache, but
looking like Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, he is Pepe Le Pew, because Pepe Le Pew was rapey too. But and they canceled Pepe Le Pew too. So but it's one of those things where, man, just tonight they really did make sure that his goodbye was as special as it could possibly be.
Yeah, and this whole episode was pretty fucking special, man. Like the opening match, Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes kicked off Saturday night's main motherfucking event. It was just such a good match, man, because the NXT champion, the future, the ruler, Obafemi, young, big, athletic, strong, intimidating, everything you can possibly want and need in a pro fucking wrestler, Obafemi, wrestled Cody Rhodes, the guy from the WWE, the past or the current star, you know, the guy that's been carrying the main title scene picture for like the last couple or few years. So you kind of get like the past versus the future. And Obafemi is a lot bigger than Cody. Cody Rhodes had to kind of rely on his speed a little bit in this match, because when it comes to power, Obafemi had him beat. And it was one hell of a fucking match, man. It was short though. Most of these matches were pretty fucking short, to the point. It was only a 2-hour show. But I just want to, you know, say good job, fellas, on the predictions, because I feel like we predicted everything that was going to happen in this match from top to bottom. You know, everything from the match being what it was going to be, which was Obafemi was going to look threatening and he was going to overpower Cody, you know, to Drew McIntyre showing up and that face-off that Mr. Blood, you mentioned, we were going to see a face-off. Obafemi was not happy to see Drew McIntyre interfere in this match. Drew McIntyre attacked Cody. So technically, Obafemi got a win over Cody Rhodes by disqualification thanks to Drew McIntyre. Obafemi got his hands on Drew McIntyre. And it was a crazy, crazy turn of events that we saw on this match, for this opening match for Saturday night's main event.
The match itself, I enjoyed for the most part. It was way too short, personally. And this show was more like 2 hours and 20, I'd say.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Also, I consider that this match ended in no contest. Because if it ends in a DQ, normally they're supposed to say, and winner by disqualification is Cody Rhodes, because Drew attacked Cody, which automatically assists Oba, and they didn't call it.
But let me jump in here really quick, Mr. Blood, because Cody Rhodes lifted Obafemi's hand at the end.
I think that was just to show respect to him and put him on a pedestal, because he's the top guy. It's a top guy thing to do, because they also did that in other matches throughout the night. I mean, Bailey lifted Soul's hand and so on and so forth, you know? So I wish, I know that we couldn't beat either man here. And it makes sense that it would be the first match, because if you can't beat either man, but you still want to have the match and still showcase NXT and still showcase the main roster, you got to end it in an interference. And it's the first match. So if they boo it, at least there's 2 more matches to get them back, get the crowd back. Because no one likes starting the show off with some bullshit like that, right? Especially when you're talking about 2 champions. I thought they wrestled it very well. I honestly disagree with you. I thought Oba was much bigger than he actually was. When he stood face to face with Cody, they were about the same fucking height. The only thing that was big about him really was like muscles. But in my head, when I thought of Oba versus Cody, I genuinely was thinking like Oba's like, God, like 6'8", 6'9" or some shit. And when he walked up to Cody, I was like, these motherfuckers are staring eye to eye. I thought they were I wasn't expecting them to be the same height. But I mean, Cody's still like 6'2". He's not a small guy. Oba, looked great showcase for NXT.
Oba Femi 6'6".
Really? Because on camera, they literally looked like they were staring face to face. Maybe it's the way that they framed or something or what, but I don't know. Like when I looked at it multiple times, I swear to God, he looked like they were looking nose to nose. Are you sure that's not his build height? Because if it's his build height, they bullshit that. But like they used to try to say that Big Show was 7'3". Man, 7 feet clean. They tried to say Kane was 7 feet tall. Kane is 6'9".
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things where great showcase. You book yourself into a corner, so you got to book it out with an interference. Hopefully this leads to something with Oba and Drew down the road. Maybe we can see Drew take a little, excursion down to NXT, work down there for a couple of weeks. All in all, I think it was the right call for the finish. I just wish it didn't have to be a call that had to be made at all, so we could actually have a definitive winner.
Yeah, Tommy can even agree with me. I said that ending to that match was BS. I did not like Drew interfering. I mean, because the match was so damn good. It was so good that, I mean, I said this in my predictions that they need to get the title off of Oba as soon as possible and have him brought up to the main roster. And especially now that they're doing something with Drew, that can give us another good storyline with 2 monsters of men, not Braun Strowman, as Drew McIntyre and Oba Femi. I mean, I want that. I mean, I said that, oh yeah, we could get Gunther and Oba. No, I want Drew and Oba right now. Like Tommy, is the match for Oba and Javon still on for New Year's Evil? Is that still on? Because
No, he cashed that in last week.
okay, that's
week.
what I thought. That's what I thought. So yeah, just get the title off of Oba as soon as possible and bring him up right now.
Or Toxic, they could do something that they have not done for a hot minute ever since Black and Gold. What they did with Kevin Owens when he was called up. Because he was still NXT champion when he was called up. So it's still a possibility he could be called up with the title still on him. But yeah, this match, it was great. Absolutely perfect to the end, except for Drew McIntyre. I honestly, as much as I get why they put Drew there, I think that Ricky would have fit better. Like, even though Cody and Drew have had their whole back and forth thing the last couple of weeks and all of that. But Ricky Sainz literally just turned heel. The last person he wrestled and lost the title to was Oba Femi. And Ricky Sainz and Cody have the history with back in AEW. So I would have loved to see Ricky Sainz get involved instead of Drew. But I do see why they chose Drew McIntyre to get involved instead of Ricky.
Yeah, because of the feud that Drew McIntyre has with Cody, but this was the best outcome for this match because, like Mr. Blood says, they literally booked themselves into a corner. You can't beat Obafemi. You can't beat Cody Rhodes. But technically, Obafemi got a win over Cody with that disqualification. I mean, this also can lead to now Drew McIntyre has an enemy in Obafemi because Obafemi put his hands on Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is one of the biggest fucking haters in WWE. I don't see, especially if Drew McIntyre is suspended still on SmackDown. Hey, I'm suspended on SmackDown still. I'm going to go down to NXT and get my revenge on Obafemi.
That was exactly my train of thought when I said that he could pop down NXT for a couple of weeks.
Why
And
not?
maybe that's why they suspended him in kayfabe in the first place, was to give him an excuse to go work with Oba in NXT. Because
Let's do it.
I could definitely, because Drew is petty as fuck. So, he's so fucking petty. He got shoved by Oba and then he choke slammed the shit out of him. You think he's going to forget that? Hell no. He's going to jump Oba probably on NXT this week. And I mean, they might have a program. I mean, I can see it. What else is there for Drew to do on SmackDown right now if he's forced to be off of SmackDown TV right now?
And what else is left for Obafemi to do? He already beat Ricky Saints. Trick Williams is not in the title picture. He beat Javon Evans last week.
Yeah, so I say let's do it. Let's get some star power, some extra star power in NXT, and throw Drew down there.
Fuck yeah. All right, you guys. I think we pretty much nailed the order of these matches for Saturday night's main event because the next match was Sol Ruka versus Bayley. And Sol Ruka won this match. Bayley did the ultimate motherfucking job of the century for this girl, which is, I guess, what the whole point of this Saturday night's main event was supposed to be, was to highlight the next up and coming stars from NXT. Like Obafemi looked really good. Sol Ruka looked really good. Bayley was bumping the shit for Sol Ruka. And even, I'm going to go as far as say Bayley even embarrassed herself a few times in some of these spots because they just look fucking ridiculous. But anything for the surfer Sol Ruka.
Yeah, Snug, you're about as salty as the water from Hawaii where she comes from. But as far as it goes, you troll, crawl back under your bridge because I'm about to spit. So when it comes down to it, like I said in our predictions, they were absolutely going to put Sol Ruka over here. And I called it for every reason that I knew that it was going to happen. Bayley is at that point in her career where she is a utility player, like Mark Henry was, like Big Show was, like Dolph Ziggler was, and like they even had John Cena be for the last 3 years before this tour happened. They were at a stage in their career where they have solidified Hall of Fame careers. Okay, they are all going to be Hall of Famers. But it was time to pay it forward because they're getting to that age where they're no longer the main spotlight. They're at that stage where now it's about bringing the people under you up to your level or right beneath it so you can step off into the twilight like Cena did tonight. Bayley is amazing, but Bayley is a utility player now. Why else do you think she's been with Lyra for the majority of the year? That's not because Bayley needs Lyra. It's because Lyra needs Bayley. And they know that, so they're sticking her with a pro. And when it comes down to it, it's the same reason Maxine's been working with Becky. Becky's at that stage in her career where she has to start putting over the younger talent. This is the regular psychology of the business. Why do you think John Cena put Gunther over tonight? When it comes down to it, Sol Ruka went out there and had a great match with Bayley. I don't care what anybody says, that was a great match. They had one hiccup in the match where they both miscommunicated. That was the only miscommunication they had in the entire match. And this match went even longer than the opener, and Sol looked incredible. And the crowd, by the way, loved her. And they popped out of their fucking seats for the Soul Snatcher. But also, This match also got to show the psychology of Sol Ruca, getting rolled up in a pin and then letting her, and being smart enough to have ring awareness that put her feet on the bottom ropes to break a pin. Then when Bayley started losing her shit and started working heel for a second, she tried to roll up Sol, who after taking a rose plant, used her psychology again. And then on top of that, she reversed the roll into an O'Connor roll and got a clean win on Bayley. It was psychology. It showed her in-ring smarts of a young and up-and-coming talent. It wasn't a fluke. She outsmarted Bayley, and she didn't pull the tights either. So when it comes down to it, the right girl won because somebody from NXT had to win tonight. Because, like we've said, main roster won't let NXT or TNA win on their main roster if they can fucking help it. They did give one NXT talent the rub tonight. One. And I'm glad it was at least Sol Ruca because she's already a star in NXT. So her star is going to be even brighter when she comes up to the main roster. But they had a great match.
Shout out to Dane Jor in the comments, says Cena deserves the loss just for sporting that haircut alone. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Go ahead, Tux.
I'm not even gonna talk about that, but screw you. Anyways, yeah, I 100% agree with Blood. That match was phenomenal. No pun intended for who we're talking about next, more than likely. But I do have two issues with this match, and I mean, this is one of the only matches that I have an issue with. It's the timing between the two. I mean, when it looked like the I don't know if whose fault this was or who was in the wrong, but whenever Sol went for the cartwheel on the ropes and then into the DDT, her legs hit the floor before, which I don't even know. I mean, that's more like a blood certification thing. I don't know.
It was a timing thing because Bayley's never worked with her. It was probably to let her know when my feet hit, then go down. She probably didn't want to over rotate.
Are you guys talking about the DDT Sol Ruca did where she did the cartwheel on the ropes?
Yeah.
The one where Bayley was bent over, like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for Sol Ruca. That one.
You're going to judge that when the 619 exists? How long
Yes,
can I sit on this middle rope?
Okay.
But yeah, it was a timing thing, Toxic. Yeah, Bayley's never worked with her, so when she went down, it was just
so
a signal
embarrassing.
her to sell now. I mean, you're nitpicking, buddy. I could pull out.
No, I'm not.
I could pull out 20 examples,
dude.
brother.
All right, you'll
the
save
5-knuckle shuffle.
Y'all save this for Thursday. I'm almost done. Just give me a couple more seconds, okay?
Sorry. Go ahead, Toxic. You're right.
And then the other issue is I think it was Bayley's placement whenever Sol did the Soul Snatcher. It looks like she was just reaching her arm out just a lot just to try and make sure that Sol is okay while doing the Soul Snatcher. But yeah, those are the only two problems I have with the match. Other than that, great match.
By the way, Thursdays is when me and Mr. Blood do our one-on-ones when I absolutely cook him on wrestling.
No, the fuck you don't.
No, that's the hour where he dreams and wishes that he could. But and Toxic, to answer that, Bayley was slightly out of position for the Soul Snatcher because she had to dive forward because she was too far back.
And look at that, Snug. You're happy now because someone actually countered the Soul Snatcher, at least the first one. So
no, I'm not happy at all about nothing that has to do with this match. But yeah, go ahead.
Snug, you go back under your giant fucking bridge. Go back under there. Because clearly, by the fact that all three of us, are against you on this, you're wrong there, bud. But what I will say is this. Sol absolutely looked phenomenal in this. Bayley absolutely did everything possible to put this girl over completely. She looked like an absolute star out there as she is. I love the fact, just like with Javon Evans, in which we're going to be talking about that next, it was very clear that people knew who Sol Ruca was. So when it comes to NXT, looks like it's a whole lot more popular than people think. People are like, oh yeah, like barely anybody talks about it. No, because clearly people from NXT are being well known right now, like Soul and Javon Evans.
If I may, Tommy, really quick, I think that's more. I think that should kind of be an attestament to the intelligence of having everybody that was here tonight, maybe minus Leon Slater, all appear on SmackDown a few times through the last month. So wider audiences were like, hey, I remember you. And then also having Soul have matches against like Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So I think that it's not that NXT is overly popular. I think it's that they knew the whole time these were the groups of people we were going to bring onto the show. So we put them on TV as often as possible leading up to the show.
I'll give you that. But the biggest thing here is that Soul looks like an absolute star, and there is no doubt about that, you giant troll.
Hard agree.
So here's my thing. Look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Sol Ruka. Look, she's obviously putting in the work. You know, she's doing her 1,000 hours. She's earned her spot here versus Bayley in Saturday Night's Main Event. She's a great athlete. However, when I see Sol Ruka, I don't see someone who's like, I don't know, like who's someone like Roxanne Perez or like AJ Lee, who from like now from like little girls, you know the stories, like they love pro wrestling, like they want to do this shit because they really love it, right? And Wade Barrett at the beginning of the match, before this match started, I'm pretty sure Wade Barrett was like, Sol Ruka didn't even want to be a wrestler at first. She wanted to be a fucking gymnast that does like stunt double stuff for other people. And that, so when I see Sol Ruka, I see someone who's like, I get to be on TV and I get to be flashy and I get to show people that I can do all these cool tricks and cool flips. And I'm just like,
but
that's why I don't like it.
Both guys are gone, by the way, but you could argue that, but with that being your observation, like, okay, so for those of you who just missed it, Tommy and Toxic, Edgar said that the reason he has umbrage with Sol Ruka is that when he looks at her, he doesn't see someone who wanted this since they were a kid, that wanted to do this since the moment they knew they wanted to do it and came up in the business wanting to do it. It's just someone who's looking for an opportunity to be on TV. And where I disagree with that is that, sure, she trained to be a gymnast and a tumbler, and she was thinking about being a stunt woman first. But then WWE's program, which brings outside athletes who maybe didn't know about WWE, started. You could argue the majority of the talent in NXT now, none of them were wrestlers until 3-4 years ago. So, and also, if you want to think of that, John Cena he loved wrestling as a kid, but that wasn't the thing he planned on doing. He was going to be a bodybuilder and he failed. And then he went and tried out for pro wrestling. It happens all the time. A lot of guys and girls start somewhere else and then still end up here anyway. But she's still giving it her all. No matter, she's got it, but she's putting in that work regardless of whether it was her first passion or not.
No, and she is, and I literally just said that. I'm like, yeah, she's putting in the work, but she's not connecting with me, and I'm not impressed by what she can do because there's plenty of people that do the same shit that she does. I'm sorry, but what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, they're high flyers, But when I look at Soul, I look at her, I'm way more interested in her than I am in Roxanne
I bet
Perez.
you are, you sick freak.
Well, like, I look at her and I look at the main roster talent. To me, she catches my attention more than Chelsea Green, more than Roxanne Perez, more than Tiffany Stratton, more than Jade Cargill, more than half the women on the main roster. She, to me, is more interesting because she's different than they are, because all of them are somewhat nearly the same. she stands out among the main roster girls because no one on the main roster does what she does in the ring except for possibly, maybe Io Sky. And that's
Bro,
about it.
Chelsea Green has amazing character work. That's crazy.
Character work, sure. Athleticism and eye-catching matches, no.
Bro, she fucking wrestled Penta.
Not on WWE
50-50.
TV, and that's what, not on WWE TV, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. All right, can we move on from fucking Soul Snatcher, whatever the fuck her name is? All right. The next match was for the World Tag Team titles. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus the Youngins, Leon Slater from TNA, X Division Champion, and Javon Evans. Another young, exciting, high-flying tag team from NXT that got showcased on Saturday night's main event versus AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. I'm really glad that I got to see Dragon Lee in this position, man, because they're not just putting attention on the young team from NXT. They're also putting a lot of attention. They're putting in a lot of work into Dragon Lee, showcasing him a lot. And that's one of the things that stood out to me too. Good for him. Not just Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Dragon Lee also looked really good in this match. I got to point that out. But this match was really fucking short. Again, like short to the point. It started off 100 miles an hour. These guys, we knew this match was going to be high flying, high paced, and it was exciting. It was fun to watch. A lot of bounciness, a lot of high spots, a lot of flying around. But we kind of all knew that AJ Styles and Dragon Lee were going to retain. The one thing that I really liked from Leon Slater, the spot where AJ Styles goes for the phenomenal forearm, and AJ Styles slips on the top rope, he falls. He botched it, right? At least that's what it looked like, but honestly, when it comes to AJ Styles, sometimes I could never really tell because he's just that good. When he fucks up, you don't actually know if he fucked up for real or if he meant to do that, but I'm sure this time he fucked up. Anyway, that's going to be a funny story to look back at. AJ Styles hits that phenomenal forearm marvelously every single fucking time, and the one time he fucks up, it's in John Cena's final fucking show, But Leon Slater did not hesitate. He didn't look confused like most wrestlers would do, which I've seen hundreds of times where there's a botch and the wrestlers is just standing there and I'm like, oh fuck. They're like, that wasn't supposed to happen. What do I do now? No, Leon Slater went for the cover right away. He was like, AJ Styles fucked up. This is my opportunity to win. So I love that. I love seeing that, especially from a young dude like Leon Slater. And that's, to me, that's like, I don't know, that takes a lot of brains in the heat of the moment to react like that instantly. But I really enjoyed this match. I don't really have any complaints about this match.
I don't believe this match was actually for the titles. I think we found that out when it started because there was no weigh-in or anything.
Okay.
But that being said, a lot of people, myself, Tommy, we all thought during predictions that this actually was for the tag team championships.
It was advertised like that. This match was for the titles.
Are you sure? Because
I looked it up,
and commentary never put it over.
I looked it up before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things where it's like, if let's just say they changed their minds last minute and then decided, oh, it's not for the titles. We're just going to forget like we never said it. If that's the case, because that's what it felt like, then I think you could have put Leon Slater and Javon Evans over here tonight. I think that we needed more than just one NXT talent to get a win here. Because if it's non-title match, then put the young guys over. These are two 21-year-olds, that are honing their craft and really putting in the miles here. Monstrously talented. I mean, there was more talent in that ring than most people ever witnessed in their lifetime. When it came down to it, glad Dragon Lee was more on his game tonight because back on Monday, he was just off his game. And I mean, Monday, there was just something about that night. He just wasn't clicking in the ring. We talked about that in the Monday review. AJ as always looks insanely amazing. He looks phenomenal, pun always intended. That slip on the rope was definitely accidental, because even if AJ would, do it to himself, he landed like straight on his fucking neck. And even if he was trying to, make it look like it was a shoot, but do it in kayfabe, there's no way he would purposely land on his own neck on the corner side near the apron of the ring, the hardest part. He's not going to risk his health at his age like that, especially when he's got to retire next year. I think what Leon Slater did was intelligent. In wrestling, a lot of times when someone botches like that, not everybody freezes up, but a lot of wrestlers, what we would do is we would typically go for a quick cover immediately, because it gives us a chance to get close enough to where no one can see us talking and go, hey, man, you all right? Shit, you okay? Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. All right, this next. Okay, and then kick out. So Leon basically probably went over there, covered to check on him, make sure he's good. But it looked like it messed up the finish somewhat, because notice how Javon is out of the rest of the match, outside the ring. He's out of the rest of the match for the entire last 3 minutes. He's not in it. He's outside the ring by the ramp. And I think that something was supposed to happen if the phenomenal forearm connected. I don't know if it was going to connect or if he was going to counter, but I feel like Javon was waiting down so he could break up a pin. And once that happened, and they just went straight to the finish. So great match. Unfortunate kind of ending to it. Could have been a little longer, but I wish, and even though we got the predictions right on who won, I still wish they would have made us wrong, because I think at least the tag guys should have gone over. The NXT and TNA should have gone over here, because if they put NXT over tonight, you got to give TNA something on the main roster at least once.
Yeah, so I did get this wrong, because I said that they should win because it would give them a massive push, which I didn't even get to watch all this match because I had something to do. So yeah, but I imagine it was good. I might have to go rewatch it, which I'm probably might do after we get out of here, which I think we're almost there. But yeah, I hope this was a good match. I didn't see much of it, but I imagine it was a pretty good match.
Oh, it was. It was a fantastic match in itself. When Dragon Lee went over the top rope and did that suicide dive that he always does, the first thing I said is, hey, Javon, you're not the only one who can fly. So, and I said it just like that, too. So, this is what I will say on it. The match itself, I absolutely loved. And even though they didn't win, I have a feeling like this match in itself is still going to absolutely just give Javon and Leon Slater both that push that they need right now. And I love the fact that, and Blood brought this up to us in our chat, but he didn't say it just now. When Javon came out, almost everybody in that damn arena, bouncy, like that in itself, absolutely great. It just shows how big Javon actually is, thanks to the help of him being on SmackDown here and there, especially losing to Gunther. I love the fact that even though he lost to Gunther, he was still involved in.
Tommy, that was on Raw.
The point still stands. Even though he lost to Gunther in the first round, he was still able to be in this event itself. So, honestly, I thought the match itself was amazing. I loved it.
Lovely, lovely. We had a little it wasn't an official match, but it was a nice little segment in between the match, this tag team match, and the main event, where we saw so They go out to the front of the stage where Stephanie McMahon and Joe Tessitore were at, where they were doing kind of like a commentary in between the segments, right? And their backs were facing the ring, and I saw someone in the ring walking back and forth, and I'm like, okay, is Gunther out there already? Are they not going to give Gunther a proper entrance because they want to give Cena like the final entrance of a lifetime? And I'm like, I just see someone pacing back and forth, and it was the Miz. I'm like, what the fuck is the Miz doing here, right? Miz hijacks the show. He interrupts Stephanie McMahon, and he's pissed off. I can't believe that in John Cena's final match, final event, me, the Miz, the guy who has all this history with John Cena, I can't get booked. I can't get a match. And then he gets interrupted by R-Truth wearing all his fucking John Cena gear. And he comes out running to the A to defend his hero's honor, John Cena. And I'm like, oh, here we go. This is going to get good. But it was cool to see that the fact that R-Truth got a spot on the show. The Miz got a spot on the show. And they had fun banter back and forth where R-Truth tells the Miz, hey, you did something you weren't supposed to. You entered yourself in John Cena's tournament because you played with Nick Aldis's balls, which got a huge pop. That was really funny. And this is the name that was supposed to be in John Cena's tournament. And the Miz opens up the little ball, and it's Joe Hendry. And say his name and he'll appear. The name was said by the Miz. Joe Hendry's music hits. And we talk about the future. We talking about showcasing NXT talent on this show. Joe Hendry got to be on John Cena's final show. Him, Joe Hendry, and R-Truth together beat the crap out of the Miz. What a fun moment to see all three of these guys in this segment, all on this Saturday night's main event.
I'll keep this brief, but I thought it was great that Miz was out there in the same gear that he beat John Cena at in the main event of WrestleMania in 2010, the one that The Rock had hosted, and seeing Ron Cena out there, R-Truth. I guess we're just officially just saying now we're scrapping the serious R-Truth turn. Forget all that fucking bullshit where he cut his fucking braids off. That never happened. He's just goofy again. I mean, it's fine, but it's like, come on, man, we could have done something. But okay, sure, WWE. I will take the force-fed crap you give me. Joe Hendry comes out, doesn't have an official match, but remember, as of last week, Joe Hendry is officially signed with the WWE. So this was him officially appearing on, main roster-esque television as a full-fledged WWE talent. Now, you said NXT, Edgar, but we don't know where they're going to have him because he's already worked with NXT plenty over the last year and a half. For all we know, he could go straight to SmackDown or straight to Raw. And a lot of reports have said a lot of these talents are getting called straight up to SmackDown. So we'll have to see. But it was a nice feel-good moment. And I think it was inoffensive.
Yes, this entire thing is good and everything that Blood said is correct, but so far, no one said it. I don't know if Tommy is gonna, but you're probably confused on why Truth counted the pin whenever Joe Hendry pinned him. Well, if you don't remember, there was a thing with the Usos and the Street Profits like a couple of years ago, I think. And don't forget that R-Truth is referee certified. So technically, this was a match, but without the bell ringing. So that's just a fun little Easter egg that I found. Yeah, nothing really much except that I thought that was pretty freaking cool.
For one, nice job with the turn a second ago. Because as soon as Snug said Joe Hendry the first time, Toxic's chair was at the camera and he just turned for all those people who didn't hear what the fuck I just said. So I do love the fact that it was Joe Hendry because as soon as he opened that paper, I could see right through it. And I saw Hendry. I'm like, yes! Hell yeah! I honestly would have loved it if it was Joe Hendry instead of Miz for a second damn time in that tournament. Especially knowing the fact that at that point he was still signed with TNA, at least that we know of. So at that point, I would have loved to see it because that would technically mean that we would have like 3 people from TNA, like 1 or 2, can't remember which one. It's either, 2 from NXT and then the rest from the main roster. I would have loved to see more from out of main roster because holy crap, main roster definitely just gobbled through that shit. But still, I love the fact that it was Joe Hendry. Of course, R-Truth just had to do the turn with him as well, which I absolutely loved. And Tox, I completely forgot about the fact that R-Truth was a ref at one point. So technically, this could be an actual match eventually. And I would love it to be.
Well, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready to talk about John Cena's final match? Oh my God, you guys. Okay. John Cena versus Gunther. And we saw the final entrance. First of all, when Gunther's music hits, major fucking heat. Right off the bat, Gunther was getting booed out of the fucking arena. Lovely to see. Then John Cena's music hits. And from the beginning, man, I started to feel it. I think I was feeling it way before the match even started because the anticipation was building from like, I want to say there was a certain point where it just started to hit me where I'm like, oh my God, this is happening now. We're about to see the final entrance of John Cena, the final moments of John Cena's career. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then his music hits. And I wasn't sure what John Cena was going to be like. I wasn't sure what his energy was going to be like, but he was fucking full of electricity. He came out hot as ever, you know, excited and happy. And I'm just like, man, this is the last time we're going to see John fucking Cena, man. This is fucking crazy. He hits the ring, you know, he does his poses like he usually does, and then off we go. But you know, we kind of talked about how we wanted LA Knight to be in this position, but now after we saw the match, I'm kind of glad it wasn't LA Knight because now, and I think we talked about this a little bit before, in this final match, we have Gunther versus Cena. We have a clear monster heel in Gunther and a clear super baby face in John Cena. So obviously, organically, the fans are going to boo the fuck out of Gunther. And they were. Fuck you, Gunther. And John Cena was getting cheered. And it's what you want. This was a classic wrestling match. Babyface versus heel. Everyone was there to see the babyface beat the heel. And it was a fucking wonderful story in the ring. Is Gunther going to be able to make John Cena give up the one thing that John Cena will never do is give up? That's his whole thing. Is he going to be able to do it? And I'm just a lot, and I'm kind of surprised that there was a lot of fans in our comments, even now as we speak, that are like, man, can't believe they did John Cena dirty. Man, this is the worst booking ever. How are they going to make John Cena lose and blah, blah, blah. Call me a fucking WWE fucking defender or WWE fed, whatever the fuck you want. But this was excellent. excellent from top to fucking bottom. Everything about this was so fucking good. The little cherry on top, John Cena gave up, but he did it with a smile in his fucking face. Like he knew there's no getting out of this. He got me. I can't get out of this. The only thing I can do, this is it. I'm quitting. I'm tapping out. And it was like kind of one of those things where he was just like, okay, I'm good with going out this way. Just end it. If this ends now, I'm okay with it. And it was just like, fuck, man, what a fucking way to end this match, dude. This was amazing. That's all I can say.
Yeah, top to bottom. What feels like, I think at that point was like the beginning of the last 40 minutes or so of the show. Man, it was an emotional roller coaster. I feel like it literally was the last 40 minutes of the entire show was all of this. Gunther comes out with the monster heat, but had the respect to get out of the ring for John's entrance. He actually got out of the ring and went over by the announcer table so John could have the entire ring to himself. John comes out, looks all around, absorbs it, but I thought it was really, really poignant that he took the camera from Stu and then tried to get Stu on camera. They didn't cut to it in enough time to really get a clear, vision of Stu, but you could hear Stu shouting, "Let's do this, John. One more time. Let's go to work." But I thought that was really sweet that he did that for Stu. Then he runs down to the ring, electric. I mean, good God. Having Lillian Garcia do it just felt right. And the match starts, and the story in the ring being told was one of Gunther trying to get John to give up. And it wasn't an I quit match, but Gunther kept asking the ref, or telling the ref, demanding from the ref, ask him if he wants to give up. Ask him over and over again. John Cena rallied several times, and Gunther kept putting him down. Clothesline after clothesline after clothesline after clothesline. Chest chop, powerbomb, the big splash. So many attempts. I mean, try to powerbomb Cena through a table. Wound up getting AA through a table. These guys went back and forth for so long, and Gunther just kept locking in that fucking sleeper. One thing I noticed, Gunther never once attempted the cravat. Never once did he attempt the cravat submission. The submission that he actually beat LA Knight with to get to this match in the first place. The finish that I believed John Cena was going to pass out in rather than give up. And though at so long I hated the idea, and I said it ad nauseum, they can't have Cena give up. If he taps out, it disrespects the entire point of his character. And then when he looked, what I felt like when he looked in all of our eyes, when he looked in my eyes through my perspective, and he looked in my eyes through my TV screen, and he smiled at me, because for a moment I felt like I was the only fan in the world. And when he smiled at me, as if to say, hey, it's okay. And then he just tapped. And I felt like, wow, you know what? I was wrong. That is the perfect ending. And in the moment after the match, the fans turned on it heavy, booed the shit out of it, chanted, "This is bullshit." And then everybody comes down to the ring. And they booed more because Triple H was there. Because this is Washington, D.C. Most of Washington, D.C. hates the President of the United States, of which WWE brass is a very large supporter of, including Triple H, including Linda McMahon, who works in Trump's cabinet. Now I'm worried that because of Triple H's presence, it's going to shit all over Cena's moment. And they just ignored it, went for a hug, and John whispered something in his ear when he's getting the crap booed out of him, Triple H that is. Triple H laughs at it, doesn't care. Because he knows in this moment, it doesn't matter. Politics don't matter. This is for you. and he points up at the Tron for one of the most beautiful fucking tribute packages I've ever seen. And then they showed us John's reaction the entire time of him watching this video package, which, according to John, was a surprise. He didn't even know they were doing it. And he's crying while he's watching it. And it was beautiful. And Punk and Cody willingly putting their championships on his shoulder, the last real champion, and kneeling in the corner in the presence of the last real champion while they were crying was beautiful. And hearing Punk and Cody look John in the eyes and tell them that they love him was really sweet. And he took off his gear, his shoes, his armbands, his wristbands, and he walked down the aisle one last time and disappeared into the back. It was perfect. It was perfect.
So that's how it ends, right? I'm not complaining about it because, I mean, obviously we knew Cena was gonna stare at the lights, but out of all people, you had to make it Gunther. You just had to make Gunther be the one to retire Cena. That just ruined the entire thing for me. But enough Gunther hate for now. I'm just I'm just in shock that it's over like that. That no more Cena, like no more surprise return, no more, oh, I'm here for just one more day and maybe like a few more weeks and just no, it's over like that. And just I mean, it felt like not really. Every time I say this, someone ends up saying, no, it doesn't feel like that. It felt like yesterday that we were in Canada at Money in the Bank and Cena and Trish Stratus just like brought Cena out, and that's when we figured out. It feels like yesterday. But thank you, Cena, for even though you didn't make my childhood, but thank you.
Dude, to make this worse, it feels like yesterday he announced this tour to me. Like, that's how big this was. That video package, holy crap, that had me in tears the entire time. Because I'm like, oh my God, this is it. 23 years of Cena is now gone. He's not going to be in ring anymore. And at that point, as I was watching him watch that video package, that's when it really struck that was the last time we will ever see this man in the ring competing. Like, that's how big this was. And what you guys don't know, before I came into this, before we started recording, I watched a little bit, like the first few minutes of the post show. And they flat out said, out of all people to be the last one out, it was Cody. And he was still there, to the point where Kathy Kelly even walked up to him and was like, hey, why are you the last one here? What does this moment mean to you entirely? But they said before that Cody was the last one out. And the second to last one was Jay. He walks up to Cody and is like, hey, are you good? Are you okay? It's like, yeah, I just need this moment. I just need a few minutes. And I love the fact that even after the show completely ended, almost the entire arena stayed. They even asked, hey, how many people are still left? The entire floor was still there, just basking in that moment. I also love the fact that after they willingly put their titles on his shoulders and he was going to each of the corners, raising them up and all of that. He kept looking back at Cody and Punk. Punk's like, no, do not hand them back right now. Keep going. Go all the way around. This is your moment, and this is something that you absolutely deserve to have. This entire show was for you. And that's honestly what I love about it, because what I didn't bring up with the Bayley match is that I noticed that on her forearm, like on her bicep, there was that never give up thing, those armbands. And Soul herself was wearing that iconic light blue and red combo that Cena has had. So clearly, this entire show was for him. And at that point, this entire ending and everything, he deserved every single bit of it. We all expected him to have like a speech at the end. Overall, he didn't need it. His reaction to that video package in itself was his speech, just by looking in his eyes and seeing his reaction to it.
I completely agree with that. I was hoping for his speech, but when they all came to surround the ring, man, because when it hit me, when I started crying, was the moment he smiled at us while he was in the sleeper. And my wife had already passed out next to me on the couch. And for a moment, like I said, I felt like I was the only fan in the world that he was looking at. As I feel like a lot of you probably did too. Like in the moment, that kid in you was like, this is for me as much as it is for him. And I feel like Cody staying in the ring is such a sweet thing to hear, because people forget when Cody started out, he was John's driver. He spent a lot of time in the car on the road with John in the beginning. A huge part of the story this year was predicated around John and Cody. So I can only imagine what Cody must have felt. I don't think we needed a speech. I think that soaking the way that John Cena probably, feels like he's that kind of guy that doesn't need to say words. He's about action, right? And him soaking it in, and him looking at the audience, and him going out on his terms is kind of a moment of nuff said. You know what I mean? Nuff said. And it was absolutely perfect.
You're muted there, Snug.
Thank you. It was absolutely perfect, except I don't understand all this fucking hate for Triple H. Like, and it's not just the people in Washington, D.C. Like, I'm literally reading comments right now on our comment section as we speak. Everyone is saying the same thing. Fuck Triple H, fuck Triple K, worst booker ever. He did John Cena dirty, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, bro, like, that's fucking crazy to me. Like, this was the perfect ending for John Cena's final match. Like, I don't understand it, bro.
It's here's the thing. And for those of you in the sound of my voice who can hear me that are in the comments, because let's be honest, your real problem with Triple H is his politics. To you, he's a MAGA Republican, brainwashing, freaking Trump supporter. That's what it's about, and you know it. That's why you called him Triple K. Okay? Because you're referencing the Klan. Okay? And I understand that the majority of the country is up in arms and hates Trump. Fantastic. So do I. But you are taking away from the moment that John had with him. To John Cena, he is not some MAGA freaking, freedom stomping, Trump support Republican. That's his friend.
Like, dude, they're chanting, this is bullshit.
Exactly.
I'm like, bro, they just gave you a fucking banger ass match, a great finish, a great ending.
And for the record, fans who are chanting this is bullshit, John Cena booked that match. John Cena requested that match and requested how it would turn out. That was John Cena's choice. So what you're booing is the man you think you're defending's idea. So take the politics out of it, take the anger out of it, and instead of watering down and shitting all over what you just witnessed, why don't you stop and think for a moment what the man just gave you?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, I understand if you have personal issues because of something other than wrestling unrelated, can we just be like, okay, let's just enjoy this fucking moment that we're having here and now and get over our personal beliefs about certain things and just like look at what we have in front of us right now, and let's not bring up politics. Let's not bring up all this other extra bullshit. Who fucking cares? We're here for John Cena. People, you fucking morons. Like, that shit pissed me off. But anyway.
Yeah, you're chanting this is bullshit, but the only one ruining it is yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could have sat down and enjoyed this for what it was. And now your final memory of John Cena wrestling live ever is you being angry at the fact that Triple H is there and that the way the finish happened, which was what John Cena's entire point of this fucking tournament was, which was putting people over. You miss the fucking point. You miss the plot, yet you call yourselves John Cena fans without realizing this is what Cena wanted. So if you were really his fans, you would accept it, not shit all over it.
Anyway, we got to get up out of here. We're way over our fucking time, but thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you to John Cena for a wonderful fucking career and for giving us a lot of great moments and a lot of things to remember, a lot of things to go back to and rewatch and relive, and a great fucking career. Thank you guys for being to the Snug Crew, Mr. Blood, Tommy, and Toxic for being with us tonight as well. And let's get the fuck up out of here.
Thank you guys for tuning in with us as always. That was our review of Saturday night's main event, December 13th, 2025, also known as The Last Time is now the end of John Cena's career. And I'm going to salute the entire time I do this for our boy John Cena. Thank you guys for kicking it with us as always. You can catch us every Monday night and Friday night after Monday Night Raw and SmackDown go off the air, respectively, for live post-show reviews. And as a bonus for reaction content while the actual shows are currently airing live, check in on the socials for live reaction content. And kick it with us every Thursday night on TikTok Live for our one-on-ones with myself, Mr. Blood, and that handsome Mexican over there repping our Snug merch, Edgar, where we do random wrestling topics and answer your fan questions live for 1 hour every Thursday night at TikTok at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And while you're there supporting the podcast, head on over to our TeePublic, our merch site, for over 65 wrestling t-shirt designs, repping Snug Wrestling, repping our love for professional wrestling, supporting the podcast, and even checking out one of our John Cena adjacent shirts. Thank you guys so much as always. Until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. And this is not one time for the one time. This is one time for the last time. I said, boys, that was four
letters.
One
word.
And it's Cena.
We